Hey everybody, welcome into Folklore and Flourish. You're here with Jane, Mark, and Roxy over at Flubox 29.
She's like, yes.
She's like, present.
Molly's over there.
Molly's behind the scenes. She's napping per usual, taking her fourth cat nap of the day. Where is my mom? All right, today is June 4th. So June 4th is all about the unknown. We're in the month of Heroes and Quests, and we are with our Pathfinder. This week has been all about the departure. So we started with the leaving, then we got our map, then we had our first hill, and now we are in the unknown. So our theme is that we're entering danger, and the lesson is courage grows in the wilderness. So courage grows in the wilderness, courage grows in the wild. We're going to see that through German, Apache, Celtic, and Siberian folklore today. And what's kind of fun is we've seen, so like the 4 stories. Our first story is about Hansel. There's no Gretel in it.
Okay.
This isn't a newer adaptation. This is actually one of the oral storytellings prior to the Brothers Grimm, or the Grimm brothers. I'm writing it down and stuff.
Right.
So it's not centered around the candy house.
Gotcha.
It's much older when the forest wasn't just terrifying, right? So we get to see a little bit of Hansel on his own today and why he's so intrigued about that Black Forest. Because it's not just the first time he went in there. He's been in there multiple times. And then with our second one, we get to see an Apache story. And I told you then, like, I've never heard of this character before.
Right.
When I read it, I was like, ooh. Then we see a Celtic hero that we've seen before. And as I was reading it today and then like listening back, made me think of that pathway that's, I can't exactly remember what it's called. Let me look it up real quick. It's like this pathway made by the giants in Ireland. Like they think that they made a bridge from Ireland to England, the giants did, or Ireland to somewhere else because of the way it's built. I mean, it's called the Giant Causeway. And I'm not saying that everyone believes, but it's very interesting when you look at how it's like built.
It's all hexagons.
Yeah, they're all stones going out into the water, going out like they were a bridge going somewhere.
But why hexagons? That looks weird. You know, that's how trees and stuff are, though. Like when you look at a tree, it's got those pillars like that. That is not a natural.
And then that's what I'm saying, dude. Like Ireland and Scotland.
I can't. I'm so excited to go. And
our last story, though, is we get to see a spirit fair. And a lot of the times the spirit fair is associated with Native American, heavily in Canada, up in Alaska too. But today we get to see Siberian versions of it. We, usually think of like the Siberian tiger.
Yeah.
That's the powerful force there. I mean, anybody that's been around those big old bears, it's one of the most humbling experiences in nature.
They're huge.
It's like seeing those bison too, right?
Yeah.
The bison and the bears and, all these large animals, but we get to see a different version of, the spirit bear today over in Russia. And then our question is, what unknown must I face? Based on everything we have today, and a lot of our conversation today is going to be cut out because we went on a tangent. We didn't want to fully take away from the stories, but we will not know the answer to everything in these bodies while we're here in this life.
Right.
And we're not meant to. And I don't think we wanted to.
No.
I think that's part of the fun, and it sucks, but that's why we have these gut instincts. That's why we have these certain feelings of, I think just a lot of the times we misinterpret. For myself, I misinterpret.
Yeah, I know I do.
And you see that today, and I'm just all these stories I'm excited about. Because the unknown is so much more than mystery or danger or rebellion, It's liberation, truly.
Yeah. And when something's scary, I heard a fun thing in which, kind of goes along with this is change the word fear and scary into exciting.
Yeah, that's what I told you. And you tell kids that.
Man, it's like one of the coolest things because And you what's so beautiful is the fact that you're not the only one I've heard it from, and I've heard it from other things, and I'm really, really, really starting to understand that is when you're fearful, you're giving away your power. You're giving it away. But you can have that same fear in excitement, but then the power is totally yours because now you're excited about something. I'm not scared of it. I'm excited
Because
about it.
it
Bring
gives
it on.
you fear is the only emotion that allows you to use courage and bravery.
Mhm.
Fear is the only thing. And it's because the only thing that can overcome fear is love, like you
Mhm.
said earlier. The only thing that truly makes you want to overcome your fear is love.
Yeah.
And you could say, I'm doing it for no one but myself. And that's exactly what I'm saying. The love for adventure,
Yeah.
the love for myself to keep going, the love for my supreme being. There's so many different times where people sit in the unknown. And yes, it sucks sometimes because there are times where you're alone in the unknown.
Mhm.
But it's kind of like we said the other day. Sometimes you're just a few steps away or seconds away from that right person reaching their hand down and saying, dude, been waiting for you.
Yeah. For sure.
You must be the one I've been waiting for.
Mhm.
Because they don't know either,
Yeah. Why would they?
right? So we're going to think about what unknown we must face. We're going to take a route today that we've never walked before.
Mm.
So we're going to go somewhere we haven't gone before today
Okay.
and explore a little bit and just taking it in and just seeing what the unknown has to offer. We live in a beautiful place in in the United States. We were talking to someone today about the beauty that our town is getting downtown and
Right.
stuff, and to walk around and to see stuff. But there are so many places, even in this small community, that I'm sure I've never walked down that path
I'll
before.
guarantee you there's places in this town
Like,
I've
I can
never
think of
walked.
some right now that I'm like, I've always wanted to walk up there, but I never have.
Mhm.
Because, of course, I'm like thinking down by Broadbent where we're about to go. So
Right.
I'm like, But yeah, we're going to do that today. We're going to allow unfamiliar ground to teach us where courage is still growing.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're tested multiple times, like Hansel. He doesn't go into the forest once.
Right.
So for today, we're going to venture into the unknown, identify what unknown we must face, and just take a walk somewhere we haven't been. The last time we did that, we found that tunnel with all the graffiti. It was
Yeah.
really
Kinda
cool,
cool stuff,
like
yeah.
positive graffiti.
Mhm.
I should do a dragon in there. I should
Ooh,
do a Chinese dragon in there.
that would be so cool.
The tunnel of life. What if we called
Mm.
it that? Or the tunnel of hope?
I like that.
I might
What if we
even
find a new tunnel that we didn't know was there? Because I didn't know that one was there. What if there's another one we could do too?
and maybe we even talked to the sheriff's office or something and said, hey, I'm going to be doing this. I don't want you guys to think I'm vandalizing or anything. But who do we go to? Because we found a tunnel that has like this positive stuff. I mean, some of the police officers will know me when I say like, no, it like helped me mentally,
Right.
like kind of made me feel a little bit better. And maybe they could see some of it and be like, do the smoke shack or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So we're going to venture into the unknown, find some new cool places, and just accept them how they are now,
Mhm.
untouched by us. So right now. And then enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow for June 5th when we meet our first foe. And I love it because one of our first foes is arguably one of our strongest friends in our Greek book we're writing.
Ah,
So I'm very excited because, like we said, I'm very tired of the misunderstood being labeled as villains simply because they aren't louder than the rest. So we're turning everything around these days.
mhm.
Everything's gonna be turned around. And I heard that my students were watching this the other day, some of them, and that makes me excited because,
Thank you, by the way.
yeah, but then you're going to see in these stories, I'm healing myself as well as you said you were doing some healing as well.
Yeah.
These stories are not ever going to be stories where we say, hey, Mark, you're a terrible person or anything like this. But you're going to, no matter who you are in life, whether you're one of my students, whether you're my partner, whether you're someone who doesn't know me other than through this, you're going to think of people.
Yeah.
These stories are going to make you think of people, and it's going to hopefully help you in ways that I'm hoping it's going to help me because, man, I think writing this, I think that's where I'm at. I think we have to write this book. I think that's why I can't let it go, because it's still on the table and I haven't brought justice back the way that I can. So that's probably what I need to be doing. So you'll see probably a little bit more of just the stories coming through, but hopefully when we come with the Greek ones, we'll pop in because we're getting
Mm,
this story done and I'm moving full force with that. So I've had fun with my election and everything, but I also know how it goes going against someone who's been in it twice,
yeah.
and has a good reputation with a lot of important people in town. So I've been having fun. If I
Yeah.
win, that's really exciting. If I don't, I've had a great opportunity. But either
Yeah.
way, I have till November, I think, or January until I'd have to take the office anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get
Enjoy the
this book
rest of
done.
yeah.
Maybe our book will be published in November. Maybe it will be October as well.
Yeah.
I think I could do that. I think you and I could type this up and edit it
I think we
by
could have it
October.
done
We could have it done
by
probably by
August,
August.
but I'm not trying to push August, but I would like the majority of it done by August. And then we do what we did last time where we just start flowing it.
Well, I think the chapter that needed to start typing up that we had written down is the first foe
Mm.
that
And
we
then
see
here it is.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, and it's
Amazing.
not our first foe,
Right.
but it's one of, well, actually, I think it is our first foe before we meet her, the first friend we get in our story.
Mm.
So it's just kind of like, hey,
Here's your sign. Start getting that book
you
done.
need to heal yourself. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow for that. And thanks for coming in. And make sure you definitely come in on June 6th if you can, because any day that's like 6/6,
Oh yeah. Something
5/5
cool
was
is gonna
my friend's
come.
birthday and Cinco de Mayo. And then we have 6/6 coming up as well. And we get to meet some more people from our book. So it's exciting.
Super
Anyways,
exciting.
see you guys.
See you guys. Love you.
Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1. Hansel enters the Black Forest. The forest began where the last field ended. Beyond the village lay a wall of towering pines and ancient firs, whose branches knitted together so tightly that sunlight struggled to reach the earth below. Even on bright days, shadows lingered among the roots, and mists drifted between the trunks like pale spirits wandering through the undergrowth. The people of the village respected the forest but rarely ventured far into it. Woodcutters followed familiar paths. Hunters traveled only where they knew the land. And children were warned not to stray beyond the edges where the darkness deepened. The Black Forest was beautiful, but beauty and danger often walked together. Hansel had stood at its borders many times before. He knew the scent of pine needles warming in the sun and the rustle of unseen creatures moving through the brush. Yet on this morning, the forest felt different. Behind him lay the familiar world of home, where every path, stream, and meadow carried a name. Ahead stretched a wilderness where certainty vanished with every step. The farther one traveled beneath the trees, the easier it became to lose all sense of direction. Even the sounds of the village faded quickly, swallowed by the endless forest. As Hansel walked deeper among the trees, the world changed around him. Sunlight filtered through the canopy and scattered shafts of gold, illuminated patches of moss, that glowed like emeralds upon fallen logs. Birds called from distant branches, their songs echoing strangely through the woods. The air smelled of damp earth, mushrooms, and resin. Yet beneath the beauty lingered a growing unease. Every path seemed to divide into two more. Every familiar landmark disappeared behind another strand of trees. The forest offered no map and no clear destination. It demanded trust from those who entered it. Hours passed and the woods grew thicker. Strange roots twisted across the ground like sleeping serpents, and shadows pooled beneath ancient trees whose trunks were wider than cottage walls. Hansel found himself listening carefully to every sound. A snapping branch might be a deer, it might be something else entirely. The stories told by village elders returned to him then. Tales of witches, hidden cottages, enchanted paths, and travelers who wandered farther than they intended. For the first time he understood why those stories endured. The forest possessed a way of making the impossible feel close at hand. Yet Hansel continued forward. Fear walked beside him, but so did curiosity. The unknown always appears largest at the moment we first enter it. Standing at the edge of the woods, danger had seemed distant and shapeless. Within the forest, it became real, but so did courage. By the time evening shadows stretched across the ground, Hansel realized that bravery was not the absence of fear. It was the decision to keep moving despite it. The forest remained vast, mysterious, and full of unseen challenges, but the first steps into its depths had already changed him. Story 2. The Monster Slayer begins his journey. Long before the world became as it is today, the land of the Apache ancestors was filled with powerful forces both seen and unseen. Great mesas rose above the desert, their red cliffs glowing beneath the morning sun. Rivers cut through canyons shaped by countless seasons, while distant mountains stood watch over the valleys below. Yet this beautiful world was not always safe. Stories told of dangerous beings who roamed the land, creatures whose power brought fear and hardship to the people. Among these stories was that of the Monster Slayer, one of the great heroic figures found throughout Apache and related southwestern traditions. Though he would one day become known for overcoming terrible threats, his story did not begin with victory. It began with a journey. Like many heroes, he first had to leave behind the familiar world and enter a landscape where every step carried uncertainty. As he traveled across the desert, the land unfolded before him in endless shades of red and gold. Heat shimmered above the rocks during the day, while cool winds swept across the valleys after sunset. The cries of hawks echoed from high cliffs. The tracks crossed the sand where animals had passed during the night. Yet the farther he journeyed, the more he became aware that he was entering a realm shaped not only by nature, but by spiritual forces. The stories of elders spoke of beings who tested travelers, and the desert itself seemed to listen as he moved through it. Days passed beneath the open sky. The path led through narrow canyons where shadows lingered long after sunrise, and across high ridges that revealed vast stretches of wilderness in every direction. At times the journey felt lonely. At other moments, the land seemed alive with presence. Every challenge required attentiveness. Every decision mattered. The wilderness offered neither comfort nor certainty, only opportunities to grow stronger through experience. Eventually, the young hero reached the edge of a place spoken of with caution by those who knew the old stories. Beyond it waited the first true dangers of his quest. He could not yet see the monsters he would one day face, but he understood that the journey had already begun changing him. Courage was not something waiting at the end of the road. It was being forged with every step he took into the unknown. Standing beneath the vast desert sky, he continued onward, carrying with him the determination that would one day make him a protector of his people. Story 3. Fionn hunts the giant. The mist rolled across the Irish hills like a living thing, drifting between ancient standing stories and gathering in the hollows of the land. Heather covered the slopes in shades of purple and green, while distant lakes reflected the pale light of dawn. In those days, when heroes walked the countryside and the boundaries between the ordinary world and the other world were thin, stories traveled swiftly through the villages. One autumn morning, such a story reached the Fianna, the band of warriors led by the young hero, Fionn McCool. A giant had been seen in the northern hills. Travelers spoke of enormous footprints pressed deep into the earth, Shepherds claimed entire flocks that vanished during the night. Others reported hearing thunderous footsteps echoing across the valleys after sunset. Some dismissed the tales as exaggeration, but the fear spreading among the people was real enough. As their leader, Fionn knew he could not ignore it. The safety of the land often depended upon those willing to step into danger when others could not. Gathering a small group of companions, Fionn set out across the countryside. The journey carried them through oak forests whose branches arched overhead like cathedral ceilings. Streams wound through moss-covered glades, and red deer darted through the undergrowth. Yet, as they traveled farther north, signs of something unusual began to appear. Trees stood splintered as though struck by tremendous force. Great stones had been overturned. Deep impressions marked the muddy ground, each footprint larger than a warrior's shield. As evening approached, the hunters reached the edge of a remote valley surrounded by steep hills. There, they built a fire and listened to the wind move through the grass. The valley felt strangely quiet. Even the birds seemed reluctant to enter it. During the night, Fionn remained awake beside the dying embers, watching the darkness beyond the firelight. The stories of giants were old, woven through Ireland's legends like roots beneath the earth. Whether this creature belonged to the world of men or the world of myth, he knew they were close. At dawn, a heavy mist covered the valley floor. Moving carefully through the fog, Fionn followed a trail of broken branches toward the hills. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath his feet. Emerging from the mist came a towering figure whose shadow stretched across the heather. The giant was exactly as the stories described, enormous, powerful, and terrifying to behold. Yet despite the danger standing before him, Fionn felt something unexpected. The fear he had carried into the valley no longer controlled him. The unknown had a face now, and because it could be faced, it could be challenged. Tightening his grip upon his spear, Fionn stepped forward. The giant loomed before him like a mountain, but the young hero did not retreat. The journey into the wilderness had led him here, to the place where courage and fear finally met. Whatever happened next would become part of the stories told around Irish hearths for generations. But in that moment, standing beneath the gray sky with the giant before him, Fionn understood that bravery is born when a person chooses to walk toward the thing others flee. Story 4. The Bear Spirit Quest. Winter had loosened its grip upon the northern forests, but snow still lingered beneath the towering pines and birches that stretched across the vast wilderness. Rivers remained edged with ice, and cold winds swept through the trees carrying the scent of earth awakening after the long season of darkness. For countless generations, the peoples of Siberia lived within this immense landscape, where survival depended not only upon skill and endurance, but also upon maintaining a respectful relationship with the spirits believed to dwell throughout the natural world. Among the most revered of these beings was the bear spirit. The bear was not seen merely as an animal. In many Siberian traditions, it was regarded as a powerful relative of humanity, a creature possessing wisdom, strength, and spiritual significance. Stories told of hunters who encountered bears under extraordinary circumstances and returned changed by the experience. Such encounters were not viewed simply as meetings between human and animal. They were moments of connections between worlds. One spring, a young hunter prepared to undertake a solitary journey into the forest. Though skilled with bow and spear, he was still learning what it meant to live in harmony with the wilderness. The elders instructed him carefully before his departure. They spoke of respect, patience, and attentiveness. The forest, they reminded him, was never empty. Every stream, grove, and mountain possessed its own presence. To walk carelessly through such a place was to invite trouble. The hunter traveled for many days beneath the sheltered branches of ancient trees. During daylight, he followed animal tracks through melting snow and listened to the distant calls of ravens overhead. At night, he rested beside small fires, watching sparks drift upward into skies filled with stars. The farther he journeyed from his village, the more the forest seemed to change. Familiar sounds faded, silence deepened. The wilderness began to feel vast beyond measure, as though it extended not only across the land, but into unseen realms as well. One evening, while moving through a grove illuminated by the golden light of sunset, the hunter noticed a great bear standing among the trees. The animal did not flee, nor did it charge. Instead, it watched him calmly. For a long moment, neither moved. The young hunter felt fear, wonder, and respect intertwine within him. He remembered the teachings of the elders and lowered his gaze in acknowledgement. The bear remained still before turning quietly and disappearing into the forest. Though brief, the encounter stayed with him long after the animal vanished. He understood then that courage was not always found in battle. Sometimes it emerged through humility, patience, and the willingness to recognize something greater than oneself. When he eventually returned home, he carried no dramatic tale of conquest. Instead, he brought back a deeper understanding of the world around him. The wilderness he had entered as a hunter had become a place of learning, and the unknown he once feared had revealed itself as a source of wisdom. Daily thread for June 4th, the unknown. The wilderness wears many faces. Sometimes it is a dark forest where every path seems to vanish beneath the trees. Sometimes it is a desert stretching beyond the horizon, a mist-covered valley where giants may still walk, or a silent northern woodland where unseen spirits move between the pines. Today, Hansel stepped beyond the safety of familiar roads. The monster slayer entered a land shaped by forces greater than himself. Fionn followed fear into the hills rather than away from it, and a young hunter discovered that the deepest mysteries are not always meant to be conquered. Each journey began with uncertainty, for the unknown rarely announces whether it carries danger, wisdom, transformation, or all three at once. Yet courage grows in these places. It grows when we continue despite not knowing what waits around the next bend, beyond the next ridge, or beneath the next shadow. The wilderness changes every traveler who enters it, not because it provides answers, but because it teaches us to walk forward before the answers arrive. Somewhere beyond the edge of what is familiar, the road continues, and with every step into uncertainty, we become a little larger than our fear and a little more capable of meeting whatever waits ahead.